Hello, everybody. So, a little bit of an update here. It seems that Alex Blaine, also known as Joshua Ziminski, the first shooter in the Kyle Rittenhouse incident, has watched my video and decided to start engaging with me in the comments. Now, for those of you who don't remember, or perhaps haven't watched that video yet, you can find that in my channel, but this is the gentleman right here that, with the assistance of 4chan and certain other internet sleuths, we uncovered, first of all, that he was using an alias the name of Alex Blaine, and that alias was to cover up an extensive criminal record. And it just so happens that after an awful lot of work, we were able to finally get him arrested, thanks to an hour-long analysis of different videos from that evening by Neil Kiernan, a Michigan-based blogger, posted September 26, properly identified Ziminski and breaks down his presence near the gas station where Rittenhouse first fires his AR-15 rifle, killing Rosenbaum. Now again, as I said in my earlier videos, I can't take all the credit for this. I just kind of put everything together in order so that it was a little easier to understand what happened. Basically taking videos of trying to track Rittenhouse's presence through the entire evening. And the reason that this was important was because there were a lot of false ideas that were being pushed forward. In fact, it's pretty much just all speculation. You know, people were making up incidents where he may or may not have confronted somebody before the shooting. And the video pretty plainly shows otherwise. So this actually, apparently, Mr. Ziminski had commented on my video about 3 months ago. And I didn't stumble across it until recently. It's been a little while since I was looking regularly at the comments over there. I always try to look over there when they pop up. But sometimes just the way that the algorithm works, I don't always see everything. Like, I can't always find it. So just by happenstance last night, I had hit the most recent, and that reorganized everything in the comments, and that allowed me to find the stuff that I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to go over these in the order that I discovered them, which is obviously probably not necessarily the order in which he posted them. But this is the first one that I found. It said, "But thank you for the picture. That was the picture I had been searching for, it to prove that Kyle Rittenhouse did in fact attempt to kill me and my wife. That picture that I just screenshotted proves he was right there dead in front of me. That picture proves, along with the video by me saying you ain't going to do shit, refining," I imagine he meant referring, "to him threatening to kill me. So thank you. Thank you very much. Can't wait to give that to my lawyer." And then I want to be clear, just a heads up, that I was a bit more harsh in my conversation with this guy than I might normally be, but it's because of the fact I have a lot of contempt for him for basically being the person that really initiated all of this, is highly responsible for all of this, who for some reason is not getting any credit for his part in it. But anyway, oh, LOL, you must be the idiot that I got arrested for firing a gun into the air, right? The video doesn't show him threaten you at all, you fucking moron. Now, let's take a moment to talk about that part of the video, and even better, let's take a moment to look at that part of the video. Now, I had to make some corrections, which I actually posted in different videos later, but they had to do with the fact that I misidentified the woman in question, or rather, the people who were investigating it earlier who leaked that information to me had made a mistake, and that did later get corrected. The woman in question is not Ashley Kruger. The woman in question is Kelly Ziminski, but we hadn't put that together yet. But regardless, let's go ahead and get into this, and I'm going to, again, apologize for the sound quality. I was having a lot of problems at that time with my microphone, and I basically narrated this video like an hour or 9 minutes all at once in one sitting, and therefore didn't realize that my microphone had a short in it, and that's the reason why it didn't sound perfect. But anyway, let's get to the video. Now, this is shortly after the time period where you see Kyle running along with a fire extinguisher, and it's because he had overheard that people were going down to the Car Source car lot planning to burn more cars. And basically the Kenosha protesters / rioters had been just kind of setting about burning things, and that's actually the reason for the conflict in the first place. And Mr. Ziminski was present for that. We'll get into that later. But anyway, okay, so before we begin, I want to again apologize for the sound quality issues that happened in the first edition of this video. I basically recorded the narration all in one sitting at the time, and as a result, I was not aware of the fact that there was a short in my microphone. That is the reason why some of it, only showed up in one ear and was very quiet. Anyway, so this video begins with Kyle running by with a fire extinguisher. There's going to be some places where I'm just going to mute the sound because I'm going to record better, narration over top of it. There goes Kyle.
I know that is running too, but let's check it out, right? Oh damn, should I knock on the door? Probably not, but I will.
So there's Kyle Rittenhouse. There he goes asking about medical again.
Asking about medical again.
Trailer.
Okay, so in this little crowd of people that you see right here is, you're going to find, basically is where Ziminski, Rosenbaum, and Kelly Ziminski saw Kyle Rittenhouse walking by and decided to follow him.
Oh, yeah, they definitely need that trash can to put their garbage out. Oh, he's blocking the road. So now we're out by Frederick.
Now, if we're going to go by what Mr. Ziminski is saying, somehow, somewhere in this video, there should be evidence that Kyle Rittenhouse threatened to kill him, or tried to kill him, as he framed it in the comment we just looked at. I can't find anything like that.
Asking about medical again.
I see a large crowd over here smashing the SUVs.
So in a moment you're going to see Rosenbaum accelerating and running up. Somehow in this situation they got in front of Kyle.
He's right there.
If you listen really carefully, you're going to be able to hear them say that, let's get him, and Kyle yell, friendly, 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 which is to indicate I'm not here to hurt you. So this was the graphic that I used basically to kind of help people understand what they were looking at in the video clip that's coming. But again, this is actually Kelly Ziminski, but you got Rosenbaum here without his shirt on because it's over his head. You got Kyle right here, turning around to look at him. And then this is Alex Blaine / Josh Ziminski. And, so as this video plays out, you're going to hear a sound that sounds like something like wah, wah, wah. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds like it was Rosenbaum, doing it behind Kyle. I don't know, for some reason, maybe to scare him or whatever. And then Kyle turns around and then... decides, well, this guy's running at me, I better get the hell out of here, and tries to escape. Shortly after that, you're going to see Ziminski and, his wife both kind of move forward at him, and Ziminski, as he says, you won't do shit, motherfucker, or something to that effect. And This is supposedly when Kyle was supposed to be threatening or attempting to kill him.
There's Blaine moving in.
So that's Blaine moving in, and this is, or Blaine meaning Ziminski, and this is his wife. Now, it's also possible, and somebody brought this to my attention actually earlier, and I had forgotten about it. It's been a while since I thought about this stuff, but that they may have been ahead of him anyway. But regardless, Rosenbaum ended up behind him, and it's pretty clear that, you know, there's no video of Kyle interacting with them here. It looks like he's looking at him when he says something, but up until then, other than the wop, wop, wop noise that I think Rosenbaum said, like he was trying to scare Kyle or something, there's no evidence presented in this video that any such confrontation where Kyle is either attempting to kill Ziminski or threatening to kill him is present.
It's Ashley pointing and yelling. Rosenbaum charging at Kyle. Kyle turns to run.
Oh man, that's not bad, dude. This would fuck somebody up.
So that's supposed to be the interaction that he's referring to in the comment that I just showed you. I'm not exactly convinced of his version of events. You know, if anybody ever does come forward with any more video, I'll be happy to add it to my final project. I am working with an associate and trying to make a better, more refined version of the original. Alright, so moving on. He says, I will not like this and I will not subscribe because the guy that made it is an idiot and doesn't even know what the fuck he is talking about. And I said, please enlighten me. By the way, the reason there are like 4 versions of this video is I made corrections as more information became available. Well, I hope you like to read because ever since this happened, I've been stalked by a white supremacist since I got a lot of hate mail. Even yesterday, I got what looked a Christmas card full of hate because of the situation, but he is not a white supremacist, right? I got people following me, taking pictures, sending them to people that we know. Or rather, that know me. I said, white supremacists might take up the cause of someone with or without their approval, but honestly, I think you are likely exaggerating. Whether or not people who happen to be white supremacists contacted Mr. Ziminski is not evidence of Kyle being a white supremacist. But anyway, let's continue. He said he is here to get everybody the truth. Well, so far he's wrong about my wife's name. I was not in the crowd of those people with the fire in the street. A lot of things he said on here are assumptions with no facts, comments made about what he believes happened. And I said, I corrected the issue of your wife's name in another video, Mr. Ziminski. Your stupid ass firing a gun in the air is what got all of these people killed. Little commentary here was just to say he said he was not in the crowd of those people with the fire in the street. Now, he wasn't like in the group of people that were pushing the initial dumpster fire, but later on he does acquire the dumpster for himself. Not really sure what he was going to do with it. Maybe he just felt that his life was incomplete and that if he had had a dumpster that somehow it would be better. Not sure. I do ask him that later. At the end of the day, I don't care what this man that made this video says. Kyle did not have a reason to have self. He came to Wisconsin with an assault rifle with the agenda to shoot people. He was sticking his gun in people's face all night. I don't have any video of that at all. He lied on the camera when asked if he is from the area. He is not from here. He is from Antioch. Self-defense would be him protecting the property that he was not asked to protect, by the way, and being assaulted, not chasing people down, sticking an assault rifle in their face, then shooting somebody when you get scared. Doesn't say anything else there, but so yes, please share this so people can learn the truth. The guy that made this video is an idiot. He keeps calling my wife Ashley Kruger. Yes, we know. That is not my wife's name. That is not who is in the picture. Her name is Kelly Ziminski. Yep, updated. Now, For those of you who are not familiar with this, I did several videos arguing back and forth with a guy named Paul Katz and another guy named a non-lawyer. You can find those videos on my channel. But in there, I actually give, like, links and all that to this Wisconsin law in regards to self-defense. Wisconsin law actually permits you to defend yourself and your property, or the property of someone else, or someone else. So you can, in fact, do that legally. But the issue of the property is not really the case. What's going on here is that somebody attacked him, and even if it wasn't on his property, that doesn't just suddenly make it legal for somebody to kill him. Why is it the police said they were so confused when they let Kyle Rittenhouse walk right by them after he shot 2 people, killing them dead? Shot up third person. It all started when he threatened to kill me and my wife and pulled an AR-15 on us. They let him walk right by us. Again, we don't have any evidence that he ever walked up to you and threatened you to do anything. But regardless, they let him walk right by as he had his hand in the air telling them, "I got 3 people." They said they were confused. The little boy said, "I got 3 people," with over 1,000 people behind him yelling, "He's the shooter," but they were confused, right? As I illustrated in the original video, basically a shooting happens. It's like 3 blocks away-ish, maybe 2. And then Kyle walks up to try to talk to the police, and it looks to me like what they assumed Kyle was doing was just trying to tell them that something had just happened. He did try to turn himself in, and they didn't really interpret correctly what it is that his intentions were. But that's the reason they were confused. There's really no way for the police to know what's happened. And that's where the issue was. And then, so I replied to him, "Oh, LOL, when did he threaten you? He didn't even know you were there. You and your wife jumped at him, not the other way around. Then Rosenbaum, the boy rapist, started chasing him. Interesting company you keep. Kyle simply ran away, then your dumbass fired your pistol in the air. The one you could not have since you have a rap sheet multiple pages long, which is why you go by an alias. Unfortunately for you, 4chan figured that out. Real class act, by the way." Now, when I posted that I felt that this was him, there were, like, one of my listeners felt that she didn't think it was, but this post in particular is one of the ones that convinced me that it is, because he went through the trouble of adding all of these details about what was going on with the currently active charges against him for domestic violence. So anyway, he said that he's going to court and all these charges are going to be dropped, but one of the things that I said to him is like, how are you even walking around after as many offenses as you have on your record is beyond me. The DA in Kenosha is obviously a moron. And his record is 3 pages long. I don't care what you see on my record. A lot of people have went to court for things and beat the charges because things are alleged. They're bogus or whatnot. I am a CCW permit holder, so fuck what you think. I have never been charged with a felony. I have never been convicted of domestic abuse. Well, he's definitely been charged with felonies before, but... And then I said, how in the hell does someone with firearms robbery charges get a CCW in Wisconsin? Why don't we just take a moment and go over some of the highlights of Mr. Ziminski's criminal record? Here we have, back in 2002, robbery with use of force, felony C, dismissed on prosecutor's motion, and the reason why is because he basically engaged in a plea bargain down to disorderly conduct. Here we have 2006, carrying a concealed weapon, guilty, pled no contest. Bail jumping, which is a misdemeanor, I guess, and operating while revoked. Now, I've actually skipped over a bunch of these, but it looks like there's been like a dozen of different times when he was caught driving with his license revoked. Here we have 2006, in danger of safety, use dangerous weapon, dismissed on prosecutor's motion. Carrying a concealed weapon, dismissed on prosecutor's motion. Basically, because of a plea deal, it comes down to disorderly conduct while armed. Here we have 2007, operating while revoked, again, guilty due to guilty plea. Possession of a switchblade knife, dismissed on prosecutor's motion. Carrying a concealed weapon, guilty due to guilty plea. Bail jumping, guilty due to guilty plea, and then 2 other counts of bail jumping that were dismissed on prosecutor's motion. Once again, these are plea bargains. It's not that he wasn't necessarily guilty. It just means that he made a deal with the prosecutor to plead guilty to a lesser charge. Here in 2010, we have violate, harassment with a restraining order, repeat offender, disorderly conduct, also repeater of that. Also guilty due to no contest pleas. Again, in 2010, we have violate, harassment, restraining order, and a repeat offender. And in 2014, we have carrying of a concealed weapon, guilty due to no contest plea. Here we have a judgment for $14,556.31 in a case essentially looks like for property damage. And here we have, in 2016, a hit and run with property damage. Now we come to some of the cases that are still open. For example, this one for battery, domestic abuse assessments, disorderly conduct, and domestic abuse assessments. Then finally, the charges that were filed against him as a result of my video: arson of property other than building, disorderly conduct, use of a dangerous weapon, and obstructing an officer. Still open. They put him out on a $1,000 bond because of this. But again, I want to be clear. I just read the stuff that I felt was probably the most damaging as far as to society. But there was probably about a million, not really a million, but maybe more like a dozen different kinds of traffic problems with constantly driving without a license, driving with a suspended license, driving without insurance. He had one drug possession charge just for marijuana. Not a big deal. I don't even think that should be illegal anyway. But there's a long pattern here that goes on for 3 pages. And he was in fact charged with some felonies, as that has been made clear even before the most recent charge. So this case is still open. I'm curious how it's going to go. We'll see. But, I didn't basically, I didn't in any way overplay the fact that this man has a long criminal record and that a lot of it is not stuff that's friendly. He says, so before you guys want to keep making comments, have some facts. They dismissed the charges on me and brought up more bogus charges, which I will 100% beat. I did not start no fires. My wife did not add any flammable fluid to anything. The detectives told my wife, if you say what we want you to say, we will let you go. They are mad because my wife's story and my story out of the same, not thinking that we would ever talk to the police. We did not come up with some big story. We told the truth of what really happened, but that was not good enough for the detectives, so that went to my wife's parole officer with a blurry picture of a female that vaguely resembled my wife that night, accused her of arson. She was arrested and held for 15 days when they knew they could not charge her with that because that was not who they gave her bogus violations and which she is now being revocated. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to mean. But anyway, I said, there are other active charges against you, including firing your gun in the air. The gun you illegally had. The gun you fired knowing full well what would happen. Then you had the audacity to push the mob to go after the kid after you created the situation with your stupidity. So why don't we take a moment to kind of go over exactly what Mr. Ziminski's role was in the tragedy that unfolded afterwards. So, Mr. Ziminski, if you're watching this, you're the idiot that got these people killed. And we're going to go over and review again what your responsibility in the situation was.
Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, we got a gun, baby. Oh, you shot him.
Now I'm going to slow it down to point out a very curious thing. Notice how everyone in this frame runs after hearing the first gunshot. But both of these people, a tall man and a shorter figure walking together, have a casual, nonchalant gait. Even after the next blast of gunfire, they continue to saunter as normal. This reveals that the gunshot in the air was not a spontaneous thing, but a strategic behavior of some kind. The chaos that erupts after fails to disturb them. It's that first gunshot that begins to take this encounter into fatal proportions. Fleeing from his assailant, Rittenhouse hears this close-range gunshot and knows he can't run away from a bullet. With his back to the shot, he's thinking they're shooting at him, and even though we know they aren't, we also know that there are nefarious motives afoot. Rittenhouse turns and still doesn't shoot until Rosenbaum grabs at his weapon, at which point he shoots him.
Yeah, that's Antifa, man. Oh, we got a gun, baby. Oh, they shooting. Yeah, that's Antifa, man. We got a gun, baby. Oh, they shoot you. Oh, he shot him. Get back. Shot him, man. He shot him. He shot him, man.
So he's still just like walking along, and there's his wife behind him, like casually strolling while gunshots are going off in the distance. This is one of the like most bizarre parts of this whole incident, because, you know, as the Chansey pointed out, was the young lady, I believe, who did the video that I had quoted from there, because she made an excellent point. They're just kind of strolling like they're just headed down to go pick up a sandwich or something, and gunshots just went off, you know. But he doesn't stay all casual very long, because in a moment you're going to see him turn around and try to, you know, direct the mob to go after Kyle Rittenhouse.
Laid him out. He laid him out, you guys. He laid him out.
Now, there's more footage available. I haven't been able to locate it, where you see Ziminski and his wife walk by, get him, you know, like up closer to the camera. But again, you know, he's the one who hit the first domino that started all of this. You know, one of the things that they charged Kyle Rittenhouse with, basically, I believe amounts to like reckless endangerment. And that's a charge that if it should have gone to anybody, it would have been to Ziminski. So before you want to keep running with the story without the facts, the fact is that little boy is a racist. I don't really know where you get that from, but okay. The fact is that little boy in the picture you guys so clearly have me outlined next to that truck at the car source parking lot 20 seconds prior to that, he was sticking a gun, a rifle, an assault rifle in my face, threatening to blow my head off. That's impossible. I have the entire video. There's never a moment in which you were ever really talking to him. So you invented that. So as I said here in my reply, you were making that up. I have all the video of every interaction. You and your wife are behind him, and then he walked by, and he didn't say shit to you. Then you guys jumped out at him. Do you always hang out with people like Rosenbaum, who raped 5 boys between the ages of 9 and 11? Now, that's not necessarily relevant to what he's talking about, but I am kind of curious what makes him think that, you know, Rosenbaum was the guy to hang out with. But regardless, we don't have any evidence for what he's claiming. I think that he's just kind of like trying to come up with some fictional story to justify what he did. But at the end of the day, Kyle certainly wasn't doing anything to him when he fired his gun off into the air. He was running away. He was trying to escape the situation. Furthermore, we were down there as medics throughout the day until we heard a person in SWAT gear tell the militia that they were going to back protesters up between the gas station and the mechanic shop. Then they were going to go back up, and the militia was told to do what they came to do and not worry about no charges because they would have no lead. And then I said, LOL, you guys are not medics. Come on now. Now, however, I do want to say this is possible as far as them overhearing that. I know I've seen a video of Ryan Balch, the man who was with Kyle through most of the night, telling some protesters that the police had allegedly said they were going to push them towards them so that they could handle them. Now, he may have overheard the conversation. That doesn't mean that that actually took place. I have no idea. Also, I did not light any motherfucking fires. I did push a dumpster that was on fire, and the video the police claim to have what they say I allegedly threw a match in the dumpster was already on fire in my video, and the one on here, did any of you see me light that dumpster? And I do say, it's entirely possible you were not out there burning things. Was there some reason you needed a dumpster? Like I mentioned earlier. I don't know what he was doing with it. I mean, he literally just kind of pushes it away from the gas station over to somewhere else. Like, he was like, well, fine, this is my dumpster, and I'm going home. Anyway, he says, you guys are just mad because your plan fell apart. You guys were there to shoot a bunch of protesters. I heard the comment that was made by the potion in SWAT gear to the militia. That is why I had my gun out at the gas station. You weren't the only person to have your gun out, but if you walked up right on top of those people, they all had AR-15s and you had a pistol, if you were really worried about being shot, and if that's really why they were there, a hell of a lot more protesters would have gotten killed. Anyway, I said, you guys, huh? If they actually had planned on shooting a bunch of protesters, they would have. Kyle would have earlier when someone pepper sprayed him. He actually is seen on video giving medical attention to a protester. You and your wife are seen walking around doing nothing of value, and then you fire your gun in the air and get people killed. So when you were a little boy not old enough to have a gun comes across to another state in the middle of a lockdown because of a protest and riot. Okay, you guys were all there out at a protest and a riot in the middle of a lockdown. This issue of crossing the state lines thing, it just keeps getting repeated over and over again, and I think it's because it's one of the few things that anybody can actually try to validate, like as far as things that Kyle did, but crossing state lines is not illegal. Anyway, you come here with an assault rifle sticking it in people's face, threatening to kill them. Again, never seen any such thing, but... And then get into some problems. That is not self-defense. Okay, but that isn't what happened. Kyle was walking towards the Car Source parking lot that you and your associates at the riot later destroyed, I might add, because it got burned down after this, doing millions in property damage and ruining the owner. You know, and so that's when this all started. You know, you guys attacked him. He wasn't moving on any of you. I don't believe for a second your fictional story that he threatened to kill you or whatever, because none of that's accounted for in any of the video we have. Anyway, it's not self-defense in your mind, you know, because he crossed state lines. No, you can still defend yourself when you cross state lines. You can still defend yourself if somebody has a rifle. You can still defend yourself if somebody has a rifle and is not old enough. Now, again, I've openly said in multiple videos that he's obviously guilty of the misdemeanor of possession of a firearm, but it's a misdemeanor. Anyway, but he's not a white supremacist, right? Then how come after that 700 KKK members from all over the country called me for 3 days straight, threatening me and sending me memes and text messages? Also, he's not a white supremacist. Why isn't he in Racine at Pudgy's? I don't really, again, feel that that's enough of an evidence to say that somebody's a white supremacist, but it's really neither here nor there. At the end of the day, he could be a white supremacist. You still don't have the, don't have the right to try to kill him, and he still does have the right to try to defend himself, even if he was. And I said, can you please show me where he stuck it in people's faces and threatened to kill them? Because again, there's no evidence for that. Then he said, self-defense does not apply to a person coming into another state with an assault rifle, not legally old enough to have a firearm, protecting property. We've already been over all of this. Anyway, that is not his, and he was asked to do so. Furthermore, or was not asked to do so, and he was not in front of property he allegedly was there to protect. Also, an irrelevant point. You don't get to beat him up because he left the property or try to kill him because he left the property he was there to protect. Anyway, that little boy came with an agenda with the rest of the white supremacist militia from Antioch. Again, if that was their agenda, was to come there and kill all of you, it would have been easy. They were, more heavily armed than you were. And it's pretty clear that they put up with bullshit from you guys all night long and did everything they could to try to de-escalate the situation. Anyway, and then I point out, the assault rifle was never in another state, which is the reason why that charge got dropped against Kyle. And I said, yes, he should not have had it, But that's a misdemeanor. His agenda was to offer people medical attention, and to protect the city from being burned down further as it had been the night before. I want to emphasize again that this quote-unquote protest was a riot with just systematic arson. They were going building to building to building, burning them down. Now, the reason for this, at least that I've heard in the past, was that the communist aspect of Black Lives Matter is hoping if they can just destroy enough private property that people won't worry about private property anymore. I don't really think that's going to work. And there's not necessarily enough substantiation as far as that being their direct motive, but it doesn't change the fact that burning down buildings, especially since some of those businesses belong to people of color, for example, the Car Source, doesn't do anything to accomplish anything for Jacob Blake. So this is actually from a Facebook post that I saw in the hashtag Kenosha on Facebook as I was looking around the other night. And it kind of details exactly what I was just talking about, which is the rioters have already in one night wrecked our mom and pop shops, burned down car lots, started the courthouse and public records building on fire, as well as multiple town vehicles, and destroyed our children's dinosaur museum. Maybe they don't need funding. Protesting is one thing, but destroying our hometown won't help. I'm a Kenosha, Wisconsin resident and local medical provider dealing with the consequences of this. There have been multiple injuries, bystanders and cops included. Black lives do matter. But I don't want any more ER patients as a result of this. Update. Too late, multiple deaths as of last night. So, I don't know what it is you thought you were accomplishing there. You didn't help anybody. Nothing that you did in any way exonerates or undoes what happens to Jacob Blake. Going around and destroying property, as I detailed before. You guys were in a conflict with Kyle Rittenhouse because you were concerned he was interfering with your arson. There was nothing noble about what you were doing. You didn't convince anybody. And the support for Black Lives Matter is a result of all this absolutely asinine, stupid, ill-thought-out activism is that support for the cause has dropped dramatically. So, anyway, I unfortunately didn't discover these comments until, I guess they were made 3 months ago. I don't know if he'll get back to me or not. It doesn't look like that's his account. It just looks like he was using it. But at the end of the day, if anybody can provide me with evidence that I was wrong in any part of my video, I've already updated it 4 times for that reason and have no problem, updating things again. So, and I am working on a better version of it coming forward. We'll see where that goes. But, there are still people who believe absolutely fictional things about what took place. It's extremely frustrating because there are still people who say things like that he randomly shot through the crowd, and it's just a lie. It didn't happen. And at the end of the day, even if you think he was a white supremacist, even if you think he was a Republican or a Trump supporter or whatever, none of that takes away from his right to defend himself. None of it. And, Mr. Ziminski, these people's blood is also on your hands. You started all of this. You basically set everything in motion. So you think about that the next time you consider, Anthony Huber or Joseph Rosenbaum, or Gage Grosskreuz's bicep. You started all of this. You basically, if you didn't light a match in that dumpster, you did light a match, as far as to the explosive situation that was getting ready to happen, and you tossed that match right next to the wick and lit the bomb. So, I don't know. If you ever sit and think and contemplate on that, but this is on you, buddy. You did this shit to yourself, and I hope you get prosecuted. And I hope that this time when you get prosecuted, they finally figured out that maybe you shouldn't be walking the streets. Take care.